We can break out!
From Indianapolis, Indiana, scene of the world's greatest racing, Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
The Indianapolis 500, the greatest spectacle in racing. An American tradition with a century of pursuits. 33 cars running wide open at over 200 miles an hour. A 500-mile chase toward racing immortality. Time trials at Indianapolis have placed 24 cars in the field through yesterday's 2 stages of qualifying. It was an afternoon of drama. The highest of highs and lowest of lows.
Somehow I wish we would just be over with now.
Plain bad luck for one team or pushing the envelope a little too hard. A few Indy favorites were left on the outside looking in for the evening pole shootout. As the top 9 cars return to requalify, Elio Castroneves in his quest for his 4th Indy 500 title turned the fastest 4-lap average, landing him on the pole position for the 2nd consecutive year.
Wow! Almost 228 miles an hour.
An incredible performer for an incredible owner.
Let the games begin.
Today, the final 9 positions will be filled. Then drivers must bump their way into the 500 field, where the fastest 33 cars will make the race. It's Bump Day at the Brickyard.
Let's go, baby! We're gonna run wide open today, come on!
Another day of highs and lows. Things can't get much lower for sentiment favorite Tony Kanaan. This is not a replay of yesterday. At 9:20 this morning, shortly after the track opened for practice, Kanaan in trouble again in the same area of the racetrack in his backup car. Listen at the impact. He makes contact with the safer barrier twice and does extensive damage to the backup car. Yesterday at 112, this is what happened. He slid all the way to the second turn before making contact, but again, heavy damage to that car. We'll sync up and watch Danica Patrick on the right. His teammate, she's had trouble getting up to speed, and Ziggy Harka saying, just like yesterday. Tony Kanaan is okay, but an incredible chain of events at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And so we welcome you to Bump Day, the final day to get into the Indianapolis 500. The driver prior to yesterday, when the track opened for first day qualifying, who was 6th fastest, has crashed 2 cars in 2 days.
Incredible. And I talked to Tony Kanaan this morning, and listen to this. He's there first thing helping to work with his guys. He's like, I'm part of this team. But he said, yesterday I had a fast car. We're going to go back out in my backup car, and it's going to have the exact same setups on it. And look at that. Second time by, same results. So think about Tony Kanaan, where he is mentally right now. Here's a guy that thought he was going to be in the top 9. He's not. Okay, we'll get in the top 24. Crash, that didn't happen. No big deal. Come back today, Bump Day, get in my backup car, and I go in the wall. So he's going to a place in his gut that he hasn't been and didn't want to go to.
And Robbie, of course, consider that on that 5-car Andretti Autosport team, he is considered the anchor, the team leader. And yesterday we saw that Danica Patrick had that confident shaking run, and she's all shaky when she got out. Today should be a day of restoring confidence, but instead they now have Kanaan on the outside, John Andretti on the outside, and they have to try to somehow pull this thing together.
Let's get the latest from the garage area at the Tony Kanaan area. Here's Robbie Floyd.
Well, there is a benefit in having a 5-car team in Andretti Autosports. You look at this car. This is the T car for Tony Kanaan right here over my left shoulder. They are almost ready to get it back out on track, but they have some parts from other team members. Ryan Hunter-Reay this morning crashed his car as well. He's securely in the field, but they're going to actually take parts from Ryan Hunter-Reay's car, who's in the field, and put him on this T car, which is a brand new one. New motor, new chassis. So the parts from that car will come into here, but they had all teams. They will have all the teams working on this car, from the Go-Gadaddy team, from the Venom team, the Izod team. They have all been here. They are down here at the last minute. Actually, Ryan Hunter-Reay did not crash. Excuse me about that part. They are taking parts from that car to use on this one. So they are about ready. And you notice they are using the vinyl. Last year when we saw this car having a hard time qualifying, they used Hideki Muto's tub with Tony Kanaan's parts. Now, this year they've got the vinyl ready, so they want it to look like TK's car, Jack Arute, who I hear has more drama in the pits.
Oh, when you take a look at drama that we were entertained with yesterday, of course, to fill the field of 24, that's rows 1 through 8. What about the run and the showdown by Helio Castroneves? His teammate will find himself in the middle of the front row. Then in row 1, you've got Dario Franchitti right behind him. You've got Scott Dixon. And how about the performance of Alex Tagliani? Then I think in row 3, probably one of the best performances is right there between these two drivers. We're talking about Graham Rahal and Ed Carpenter. A little further in the field, this is where it got dicey. Guys were actually satisfied with just making it into the 24. That was the case for Mario Moraes. It was also the case for Ryan Hunter-Reay and, of course, Marco Andretti. You get down here, though, and things get a little dicey. Danica Patrick, not happy with her car. She's back here. There's still a lot of cars to qualify. In fact, John Andretti is going to roll out in the number 43 for his warm-up lap. He, along with Kanaan, along with Alex Lloyd, Jay Howard, all of these cars, by my count, there are 13 cars for 9 spots. So it's going to get a little dicey. One thing I should update you on, though, A.J. Foyt IV has not been comfortable in the 41. He was bumped out of the top 24 and has decided not to compete in this year's Indianapolis 500. So Jacques Lazier has been called in to replace A.J. Foyt IV in the ABC Supply 41. How many times, guys, have we seen A.J. Foyt be at the center of the excitement on Bump Day? Could be the same way again today.
It is Bump Day. We have down through the years seen drivers changing rides and just doing everything, of course, they can to get into the field. And we're going to start it off with John Andretti, who first came here to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for a 500 in 1988. And he finished 21st. His best finish here at Indy was in 1991. He finished in 5th position. John Andretti did not get on the track for practice this morning, so this is the first time the car has been on the track today.
Which is kind of surprising that they didn't go out and maybe just do a shakedown, but he said, no, you know what, I know enough what I have. I don't want to get out there. I want to peak here. But for me, watching John out here doing this, let's kind of go back a year to Bump Day, and we know the challenges that John went through driving for us that just experienced way too close to home, but he needs to have a good solid run right now.
And of course the corner you want to watch is turn number 1, because we had that graphic example of his teammate having problems right there twice, and look how much road he left at the exit. He was leaving nothing to chance there, being sure the car was solid in turn 1.
And right now, this is probably the most optimum the track really is going to be all day. You know, it's just 12 o'clock. The sun's been out all morning. The most sun we've seen the whole week right now. So the track is probably going to see the hottest temperatures that we've seen up to this point. So now is really when it's probably most comfortable out there.
Andretti's best lap this month has been 224.3. His first lap of qualifying about to be completed, 224.662. Good run for him. Now we will fill the field today, positions 25 through 33, and then the bumping will begin. And remember, the car that is bumped is the slowest in the field, regardless of what day he qualified, except he or she qualified, except the top 9 that was in the pole shootout yesterday. They are locked into the field. John Andretti, good lap, 224.6.
Great lap. Great lap for John. You know, just I want to revisit him not going out this morning. Let's take a quick look and see what he posts here. Second time by.
It's a 224.534, just a tick on the watch slower.
But still maintaining it. But just, you know, maybe one reason for not going out this morning is he knew what he had in his car. I don't want to get out there and have anything not work for me this morning, or maybe something that would take his confidence away even more so this morning. Say, no, when I get in that car next, I'm going to go out and gas it up.
Mario's twin brother, Aldo Andretti, John's father, looks on. Talk about a supporter of his son's racing all through the years. Aldo, who himself was a driver, drove sprint cars for many, many years, and was a good driver at one time. Here's the third lap completed for John Andretti, and it's a 224.508, so again, just a little bit slower, but not too much.
And this isn't just great for John Andretti in this run. Remember that Andretti Autosport team, what they've already gone through this morning. What a shot in the arm for them to say, hey, things are on track here.
Maybe this is phase 1 of that confidence rebuilding.
Right. It is.
This morning it got shattered, as you said again. If he could just get him in solidly, again, these numbers, Robbie and I both agree, should solidly athlete puts you in the starting field.
No question.
He was bumped from the starting field 6 times over the final 3 days of qualifying last year, made the field with 8 minutes to go, and today on Bump Day 2010, he becomes the first qualifier. 224.367 fourth lap, 224.518 is the average for John Andretti. Robbie?
I found his teammate Danica Patrick down here in the pits. I said today's a new day, and it looks like things are working out for John.
Yeah, John looks good out there. That's a good speed. It's a warm day today. You know, I think that a lot of us are thinking about is, you know, Tony, and you know, I feel really bad. He can wheel it like, you know, anybody can, and so it's hard to see, but I think it just shows that, you know, we have some things to work on. You know, I think I was a bit emotional yesterday with my with what I said, but you know, we know that there's some issues, but you know, I feel bad because my mechanics and my guys have built a fast car, but it's just, we just need to find the grip to be able to use it. So
to let everybody understand at home, they're not in a car going 225 miles an hour around this place and having your life on the line. It's hard to talk to a camera right after you come off the track.
Sure, I mean, it's part of the job, so I'm not going to say that it's totally unfair, but you know, it is. I mean, you're going to catch some emotions sometimes because, you know, I mean, I was still shaking when I did the interview afterwards because, I mean, I was just very, 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 very ragged edge out there, and you know, catching drivers or any athlete in that moment when they're very emotional is a little interesting.
Well, good luck out there today. I know you're going to want to try and practice out there. Another lady trying to make the field, be the 4th woman in the field. Sarah Fisher takes the green flag.
Owner-driver Sarah Fisher, and let's explain briefly what is going on. Yesterday on the public address here at the Speedway, Danica says the fact that she could not get up to speed is, quote, not my fault, and she received a lot of boos because of that. She told us it was the worst car she's ever had. It's all over the internet, but hey, let's let it rest. Danica Patrick is in the field right now and undoubtedly will be on race day. But Sarah Fisher tries to get her car into the starting field. This will be her 9th start at Indianapolis. She finished in 17th position last year. That was her best.
But what that story highlights, Bob, and it's certainly a highlight for Sarah Fisher, is trying to get a car into the field that's not right. When you drive a car here that's solid, let's say it's not that tough, but when the car is not right and you're out there on a white knuckle ride, that can just shake you up.
And the guys that we're going to watch today fighting to make this field, they're holding on probably twice as much as we saw the guys that it was easy to lay down some mid-225s. These folks today are just really white-knuckling and not driving what is that perfect race car.
Good lap on lap 1, 224.735.
This should be only a couple ticks slower, but still right in the window.
Sarah holds the 1 lap and 4 lap qualifying record for women here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The 1 lap record is 229.675, and the 4 lap average 229.439.
And how about this, guys? That lap 1 for Sarah Fisher, that was her fastest lap all month.
Same way with Andretti.
Yeah. But, you know, for Sarah, as driver, team owner, that whole team, they're all built up. I mean, everything for them is all about the Indy 500. And they left the racetrack yesterday with 2 of their cars not in the race. You want to talk about pressure coming back today. Oh, gosh, as you drive into this beautiful arena, you know, anything can happen.
Now, her teammate, Jay Howard, in practice this morning, had the fastest speed of 225.9, almost 226. He'll be qualifying a little bit later. Her 3rd lap is 224.344. She's lost a little bit of speed each lap. Sarah Fisher is in turn 3, headed for the checkered flag.
We talked a lot yesterday about the speed of the car when you turn into turn number 1. We had big numbers yesterday, over 230 for Sarah Fisher, 228. That is still standing on it on your turn in for turn 1.
Here's the 4th lap as the checkered flag comes out for Sarah, 224.152. The 4 lap average is 224.434, and at the moment she is in the middle of row number 9. It is Bump Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're glad you could join us for the whole afternoon here on Versus.
Qualifying Qualifying for the 2010 Indianapolis 500 on Versus is brought to you by Apex Brazil. To learn more about our Brazilian goods and services, log on to experienceourenergy.com. And by iZod, the official apparel sponsor of the iZod IndyCar Series, available at Macy's. And by Peak Performance Products. When you peak, you win.
Vitor Meira, driving for AJ Foyt Racing, has completed lap number 1 on his qualifying attempt here on Bump Day. The first lap is 2:24.663. We're seeing some good speeds here this afternoon. Vitor Meira will be racing in his 8th Indianapolis 500. So, Vitor, what don't we know about you?
Vitor Meira, Brasilia, Brazil, AJ Foyt Racing. A common misperception of me is that I'm not aggressive at the track, which when the helmet's in, I get pretty aggressive, but when it's out, there's no need for it.
Right about there during race day last year, he and Rafael Matos made contact, sending Vitor into the first turn wall and putting him on the sidelines for the remainder of the year last year. But he's back and doing well. 2:24.438 was lap number 2.
Well, you got to think for everybody else that's waiting in line behind Vitor, they're seeing the times that are being posted, the speeds that are being posted, and they're just anxious to get out there, get their run in, because again, as the heat comes on through the day and that track temperature comes up, it is a lot tougher to maintain these speeds.
2:24.299. Again, a little bit slower on each lap, but a good run for Vitor.
Certainly a solid speed to get you into the field, and as Robbie said, that's what you want to do here as the early people in the draw. Get out there, put one down. It's worth noting that there is still today 3 fresh attempts. It has nothing to do with what you did yesterday. You get 3 brand new attempts today if needed, and obviously you hope that you don't need any more than 1 today, because you have to withdraw your time, unlike yesterday's pole shootout.
AJ Foyt, the team owner, looks at Vitor receiving the checkered flag, and the 4th lap is 2:24.151. So a good, solid, consistent run, 2:24.388. Sarah Fisher is in the field at 2:24.4. She's with Robbie.
And she just breathed a massive sigh of relief. What a relief, huh?
Well, I'll tell you what, that is the fastest I've gone all month, right? The guys have just worked extremely hard to catch up, and you know, we worked hard late last night to put that together, and this is the fastest we've been. So if that doesn't stick, I'm gonna have to see Jesus 3 times instead of 2.
Now, your teammate, Jay Howard, you trying to develop things from him. Having that 2-car team has to be beneficial.
Oh, it was, certainly, you know, especially when we were a little lost in the middle of the week, you know, having Jay's platform there and knowing what was going on. You know, this is my old car, my old faithful, the 03 that we brought here in 08. So Jay's in a brand new car. I don't know if that's the difference or not. We're just going to work real hard and figure it out, so we're on the ball at Texas.
Sarah Fisher hoping to be solidly into the field. Lindy Thaxton, who is with John Andretti.
And John Andretti, you said yesterday that you were struggling a bit and that Michael Andretti made some big decisions and some big changes. Talk about that.
Well, I just got together with a couple people, and honestly, I mean, I've got a great sponsor with Window World. They were all here yesterday, and my wife Nancy and my son Jarrett. So, you know, a high-pressure day, but we were just struck at 222s, and started talking about things, and Michael said, okay, let's do it, and made those changes and found speed. So I'm really happy. That's why you have a big team like this. That's why you have, and I want to thank Andretti Autosport and all the teammates. They've just been really wonderful to me.
Alex Lloyd just took the green flag there. Can you talk about why you didn't go out and do a shakedown this morning?
Well, we were looking at it, and you start getting limited on tires. And yesterday we made all those changes and came back out, and we were the quickest we'd been all month. So the guys just do a great job on the race car. It's always exactly what's on the setup sheet. It's always exactly what we know what it is. So I can go down in turn 1 and never have to think about it.
And what's your plan now?
To rest.
You need it, huh? Thank you, John.
Thank you.
In 1994, John was the first to run the 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway for NASCAR in the same day. Finished 10th here and 36th in NASCAR. First lap for Alex Lloyd, 225.015.
time.
This is Dale Coyne's Boy Scouts of America sponsored car.
What I'm real interested to watch here with Alex is, you remember, he posted a fast time on his first lap yesterday and then really tailed off. So let's see, you know, if he can work that weight jack or work those bars, just keep that balance in a happy balance so it doesn't fall off.
Actually, he's gaining time. Man, keep an eye on those red numbers, 013. That is based upon the 25th. In other words, the fastest car today. He is right on that edge.
Drop down to 224.965, just a little bit slower. Boy, good solid run for Alex, who has started here in Indianapolis on 2 different occasions. In 2008, driving for Rahal Letterman, finished 25th, and was 13th last year, driving for Ganassi Schmidt Motorsports.
So in turn 1 and 2, he gained some time on that second lap, then it slipped. Now we'll see if in 3 and 4 this time it slips away. It's interesting. Depending on your setup, you're going to give and take one end versus the other.
White flag, 1 more lap to go for Alex Lloyd. Third lap is 224.751. He's averaging 224.9. That would be the fastest of the day. Andretti right now at 224.5 is the fastest qualifier of the 3 we have had. Yesterday, and the driver who is still the slowest in the field is Bertrand Baguette at 224.189. In turn number 4, headed to the front stretch, and the checkered flag for Alex Lloyd from Manchester, England, originally, making his home now in Indianapolis. Fourth lap is 224.404, and he averaged 224.783, and he is the fastest of the 4 qualifiers so far today. We'll catch up with Vitor Meira and A.J. Foyt when we return to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. On Bump Day 2010, we fill the field and then start the bumping later.
Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is Bump Day, and a rookie is out on the track right now, Sebastian Saavedra, who came from the Firestone Indy Lights. Well, I wish I could say that a lot easier. Sebastian Saavedra, who came from the Firestone Indy Lights. And now I'm with the guy to my right, Vitor Meira, who was struggling yesterday with the car, got bumped out of qualifying position, but looks like he's in it right now. How did you feel out there today?
I felt fine. I mean, it's just been harder to get speed, but again, during the race, that's what is going to matter, is balance and how much grip you have. So we'll see here. We'll hang on here until the end of the day. I thought I would never say that, but we'll hang on here until the end of the day. We'll see.
Is it just one of those things you just want to get qualifying out of your head and start working on that race setup?
Yep, that's exactly what I said. I mean, I just want to get done with qualifying and let's go race with what matters.
Okay, well, I have the team boss over here to my left, A.J. Foyt, who has 2 cars trying to get into the field. The 41's about to set to go. How's your day been going? Jack Arute said it's been a tough one already.
Oh, not really. You know, we just was playing too much on race setups and not paying attention to qualifying. A lot of people jumped up there. We didn't think they'd run as fast as they're running.
All right, the 41 car, how is it with a new driver in there? I mean, what are you expecting going out the first time?
Well, we don't know, really. We haven't got nobody in it yet. We're talking about it, but until we get out and run it and see what's happening, that's the only thing.
Is there a chance that A.J. might show back up and get back in the car?
I don't think so, because once you make a switch, you need to make a switch, you know, and he wasn't happy with the car, so if you're not happy with the car here, you're not going to do anything good. You're not going to do yourself good. You're not going to do the car good.
And I don't think anybody knows that better than A.J. Foyt.
You can say that again. One of the 4-time winners, and of course, Helio Castroneves is seeking to join the list of 4-time winners, which includes Foyt, Mears, and Unser, going for the 4th this race day, a week from today. Well, Sebastian Saavedra is in the 223.6 and 7 mile-an-hour range.
And I think this is good for him.
Yeah?
I think that he has been able to hang on to some speed. That first lap was a little bit dicey, but he has sped up, and that's a great effort, Jack.
And the reason why is what their crew did last night is they showed them the traces of the pole sitter Helio Castroneves and the traces of Dario Franchitti. They said, look at the way they those two drivers exit the turn. That's exactly what Saavedra tried to replicate during his qualifying effort. By the way, they also knew that Saavedra probably heard through the grapevine that standing by outside of his garage is Oriol Servia, should Saavedra not get the car up to speed.
4-lap average for Saavedra, 223.634, and now he is the slowest qualifier in the field.
Well, I can just tell you a little bit. When Jack says, you know, you go and watch what Elio's done and you watch those things, it's one thing to watch and say, oh, I can see that. But when you get in a car sometimes to repeat it and say, oh, that's where I need to be, sometimes it doesn't balance out. But it's always good to watch and study and learn and take what you can from what other guys have done out there.
And now our 5th female will try to make her way into the 500-mile field. Milka Duno. By the way, Sebastian Saavedra is from Colombia and is being coached by her old buddy Roberto Guerrero. Milka Duno. We've got 4 women in the field, and Milka seeking to be the 5th. She's been in 3 Indianapolis 500s previously. 2008 finished 19th and was 20th last year.
Now remember, the fastest car of the day happens to be her teammate, so she's got to be thinking pretty racy.
And Lindy is with him.
Alex, up until yesterday morning, you felt like you had a really good car. In fact, you said your realistic goal was to be in the top 15. So what happened?
The heat. I mean, we lost our position in line, so we were one of the last out, and Kanaan had his accident, and that had some oil dry out there. And I think the track temperature went up 30 degrees from when we were supposed to run to when we did run, and we just lost the balance of the car. Simple as that. When it gets hot, you generally get a lot of understeer, and we had a massive amount of understeer yesterday, and we just couldn't. We didn't have time to get it where we needed it. And today, we actually went the other way. That was very loose out there today, and but loose is fast, and we had a good few laps then. The Boy Scouts guys did a really, really good job. They've worked hard because, like I said, these hot conditions, we haven't been able to practice in that this month, so it was all new to us, and we came up with a pretty good run there, so we're happy about that. We wish we were in yesterday. Like I said, I think we've shown the speed that we've had in the car. We just couldn't get it together yesterday, so today we have. Hopefully that's good enough now to get us in the field for good, and we don't have to go back out, and we can go race.
Yeah, I was going to ask how confident you feel in your time in the rest of the day.
If you'd have asked me last night whether 224, 6 or 7 or whatever our average was going to be good enough, I mean, that would have been good enough for a top 15 yesterday. Today, everybody seems to be pushing the boundaries and really trying to get the speed up, as you have to, because at the end of the day, this is the one day we got to get in. But I feel pretty good. The last lap was a shame. It fell off a little bit, but we had 2 225s in there, and that's... I think that should be good enough. We'll keep our fingers crossed, but I think so.
Alex, thank you, and Bob, his teammate Milka Duno, just for wrapping up on the track.
Yeah, she's completed 2 laps, one at 2:21 and another at 2:19, so she's going to have to pick up the pace here.
But still, at this point, finish out your run, post a time. You got more attempts. At least put a time up on the board. Stranger things have happened.
Once you take the green flag, that counts as an attempt, so you might as well go ahead and pull all 4 together and see what happens.
And the field isn't full yet, so you know you'll be the slowest time, but at least you'll be up on the board and see where it goes.
It does not sound healthy.
And she's backed off to a 209-mile-an-hour lap, but obviously she has aborted the run.
Forget about that theory I just talked about.
Well, the car sounded a little funny before she dumped the throttle, so I'm with you, Robbie. It's good to finish them off, but obviously that is not the kind of speed that'll get you in.
So we'll find out what the deal is with Milka. Meanwhile, Takuma Sato, driving the Lotus, is going to be pulling out onto the racetrack in just a few minutes. Takuma Sato coming back from a crash yesterday. We'll tell you more about that when we return to Indianapolis. Just as you rejoin us, Takuma Sato takes the green flag and begins his qualification run. He's in the Lotus colors. This car is not a Lotus. But Takuma Sato had some problems yesterday during the morning warm-up period prior to pole day. The car gets out from under him in turn number 2. A little bit of an oil fire there as the car came to rest, but Takuma was okay. And he is back on the racetrack now to try to get this number 5 car into the show. Jack Arute?
Guys, down here in the Eyes Out Performance Pit, you know, we love to have a lot of props. Remember yesterday we had the Geico rear wing, and we had the number 5 Lotus front wing. Well, late yesterday, after Sato crashed and they started to rebuild the car, they came to us and they said, we got to be Indian givers. We're going to take the wings back. We need them for Takuma Sato's run today. He just did a pretty good lap, didn't he? 221.4.
1.458 to be exact. And Takuma Sato, of course, rode in the Formula One race here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, was on the podium for the first race held here in Formula One. And, you know, most drivers who come up to this level started in go-karts. And Jan Beekes will be very interested to know, I'm sure he knows it already, that this guy got his start in racing on bicycles. 221.589 second lap.
Yeah, you know, I think for an average speed, you got to be looking for something a little bit more than that. I'm thinking for the show today, probably a 223 flat is where it is. But again, right now, finish out your run, post a time. And, you know, remember what Sato, he's a rookie here. He hit the wall yesterday. And when you come back to this track, you got to talk yourself up. You got to talk yourself back into that cockpit and get back in the game. It's tough to do, but that's what makes these race drivers really a special makeup, that they can have such a big hit in adversity. Most people are like, man, you guys are crazy. But to yourself, this morning when he's getting dressed in his room and coming to the track, trust me, he's there talking himself up, saying, okay, time to get back at it. Focus. This is good. I'm with a good team, KV Racing, the Lotus Color cars. This is the Indy 500. I mean, you go through that in your head.
Leading up to that point, though, it's such a confidence shaker, as we talked about with some of these other people, even his teammate EJ Viso, when he had a big hit with the wall. Things were going so well, and you ratchet yourself up thinking you're doing great, and all of a sudden, kablamo,
yeah,
the whole world comes crashing down.
221.775 on lap number 4. The average for Takuma Sato, 221.622, and now he is the slowest qualifier in the field. Robbie?
I couldn't spit your name out earlier. Sebastian Saavedra, you had bettered your time from yesterday, but how was the car? Looked a little on the squirrely side.
Yeah, it was a bit on the edge, maybe too much on the edge, which made us lose quite a bit of time. But we're going out there. We know that we still have to search some time there in the car, and we already know which way to go. I think we're very positive. The conditions didn't help us a lot, so I think this afternoon is going to be even better.
A lot of people recognize you from the Firestone Indy Lights, but you developed your career out in Europe. Although you're Colombian, can you do anything in Europe to really get yourself ready for here at Indy?
Nothing. No. Oval racing is completely different thing. As soon as I came last year, I needed to switch off and start learning from zero. This is how amazing it is, the oval racing. Since every lap, you learn something different.
All right, congratulations, Sebastian. In the field right now, and a former pole sitter is on the track for the first time, taking the green in pole qualifying today. Here shortly.
Bruno Junqueira on the speedway. He qualified for the pole for Chip Ganassi Racing in 2002 and hasn't had a whole lot of laps in this car.
Yeah, I mean, this is really a tough scenario here, you know, getting in this car for the first time right now this morning in this qualifying attempt. You know, crazy.
Think about the contrast. We just saw a 19-year-old talking about his first experiences here. Now you've got a 33-year-old who has all this experience but nothing in the car. Saavedra has had tons of laps to try and learn, and here you have Bruno saying, fine, just give me a car, I'll go for it.
Yeah, he's never turned a lap in this car until right now, right what we're watching.
And guys, you may wonder why, because Bruno Junqueira was announced as a driver of the 33 about a month and a half ago. A signed contract was submitted to the Fast League, but no money was forthcoming. In fact, no money has been forthcoming, but because of the performance of the primary car, the 77, yesterday, Alex Tagliani, they got together with Junqueira, and you can see it says B&W on the side. They said, you know what, Bruno, you're entitled to at least get an opportunity to get in the field. So even though they didn't have the sponsored dollars promised, we're giving the former pole sitter a shot today.
Only 6 laps of practice for this car this morning. 225.613. How about that?
Wow. That's where the experience pays, and a team that knows how to set up a race car. car, whether it's had laps or not.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, I didn't see that he had run those 6 laps this morning, but still only 6 laps, and then comes out and posts this time.
And last year, he qualified for the Indy 500, but then was removed from the seat for the race, and Alex Tagliani went into it. They are now teammates this year, kind of a payback, I would think, for his generosity last year for Bruno Junqueira, and he has this car sailing. 225.659. Lap 2 is even quicker.
I remember I was talking, I think it was with Bruno, and there was one other driver, and he's like, oh, no, I'll be in a car. And this was about Friday afternoon, about 5 o'clock. And sure enough, here it is Sunday, and he's on the gas.
And he's going faster, Bob. He's gaining speed.
Wow. This fast race team is fast this year. Brand new team in the Eyes on IndyCar Series. And here comes Bruno Junqueira to complete lap number 3.
And there was really a lot of praise if you just watch some of that action on pit road with the Penske group and Tags and thanking, but a lot of credit goes to Rob Edwards in building this team. I mean, and Tags is very quick to say, hey, this is a guy that's really pulled this all together.
225.685, just a little bit faster on lap number 3. He's picking up on every lap.
So you think this is demoralizing to some guys when you're seeing this? He's going out just for 6 laps. They put this car back together last night for him. Wow. You know, the Andretti Autosport guys with the pressure they're doing, they'll be going, wow.
Here's the checkered flag. Bruno Junqueira qualifies for the 500. This will be his 6th race. 225.692, a little bit slower. 225.662 is the average speed for Bruno Junqueira. Paul Tracy, who tried a couple of times yesterday, rolls on to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That would have put Bruno on the outside of row number 3 had he qualified yesterday and might have been in the top 9. So too bad he had to wait, but a very solid performance as Paul Tracy gets up to speed in the Geico sponsored car.
And for me, that was the kind of really the biggest shock of the day is for Tracy not to be in the show. Lindy?
I'm with Takuma Sato, and so far slowest in the field. It's not been an easy couple of days for you. After the crash yesterday, talk about what it's taken to even get to this point.
Yeah, I think basically the team did an outstanding job to fix the car overnight, and then as beautifully now is the back-end Lotus color of the KV racing car. I mean, yesterday we tried all the qualified trim and setup, and one particular set was a little bit too aggressive, and you know, suddenly back-end lost. But there you go, you're back in the cockpit. I'm very happy and very comfortable. You know, we just set just a solid land for the first time, and then hopefully this afternoon we're working a little bit more to going up to the speed.
Thanks, Takuma. And Bob, he was ready to get going here today because I understand he got a speeding ticket on his way to the track today.
All right, Paul Tracy. His history here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, he's driven for Team Penske, he's driven for Newman Haas, he's driven for Team Green, for KV Racing Technology. And back with that team this year as he takes the green flag to begin his 4-lap run.
And again, as I said, you know, for Tracy not to be in the show yesterday, we really thought he was a guy that was going to be in that top 9. Didn't even make the top 24. But if you recall, he was the second out in qualifying. He had a great draw to get out yesterday morning, good track conditions. And they had an issue with the car being caught in the 4th or 5th gear. So he had to come back in. And then they really just kind of lost the balance and the speed of the car as the heat of the day went on. You can never take the Speedway for granted in terms of how it rewards you and how it beats you up.
Lap 1 completed. It's a 224.255.
And his line has changed. We saw him trying to knock down the walls through lots of practice and his initial qualifying attempt. Now he's able to let the car have a bit of a buffer. Again, he likes to run high, but you run high when the car needs it. If it's not in a position to where you have to go up there and stay off the white line and rub against the walls, he's not going to do it.
But if anybody's willing to do it, it's this guy right here.
What I'm saying is that's an indicator that the car is better, because before he had no choice.
No question about it.
fellas, remember, the cool of the day. He was so early to go out and qualify. He didn't have that gearbox problem. Well, how about right now for his conditions? The air is at 89.2. It's gone up almost 6 degrees since we started qualifications. The track temperature ensuingly increasing as well at 118.9 degrees. But here's what's been interesting. So far, the humidity started out at 55%. It's creeped down just a little bit. It's only 52 right now.
Paul Tracy about to complete lap number 3, 2:24.2 and 2:24.0. His first two. Lap number 3 is 2:23.733. He will be the 32nd qualifier. When he takes the checkered flag, we will have one spot remaining open in the field.
It's worth analyzing what Jack was saying in those weather conditions. Humidity is bad, so lower the number is better. And as the temperature comes up, that also takes away your speed. So lower temperature makes speed, and so does low humidity.
And as the track temperature comes up, it just gets a little greasier and makes the car slide around more. Don't count this guy out on race day. He's got Barry Green back with him on his headset, his strategist. They know how to motivate and talk to each other. Wow, could be a tough combo.
Fourth lap, 2:23.570. Average 2:23.89, or rather 892, and that puts him on the outside of row number 10 in 30th position. One spot remaining open. Tony Kanaan has not yet qualified. He crashed yesterday. He crashed this morning. The team has been working feverishly to get it repaired, and it looks like they're getting very, very close. TK not in the field so far at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Don't miss an all-new daily line on Versus Monday at 11. Rob, the numbers guy, picks the winners. Jen tells you what they're saying on the sports blogs, and you can join the conversation live by calling, texting, or tweeting. The daily line, Monday, 11 o'clock Eastern, only on Versus. On the racetrack, Mario Romancini trying to become the 33rd qualifier, a rookie driver here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's talk to a veteran driver, Bruno Junqueira.
Bauer and Wilkins and Tour Cup of Canada, the new sponsors as of this morning, in Alex Tagliani's suit. Bruno, it has to feel good.
It feels really good. I mean, I've been waiting for here, for to have a chance for a week. But finally, I got on this very fast car. He put in the field. I'm very happy. Thanks for the BMW people that last minute they came aboard. They want me to be part of the team. And thanks to the fast team to give me a great car, you know.
Can you believe it's this fast? This car has not turned but 4 or 5 laps all week, and you go out there and throw that number down.
The team never had run this car before. This car has been seated on the garage for over 2 years. I did 3 fast laps this morning, took out a little bit of heel wing, and went for it. So this car could have gone 227s.
All right, you could have made it in the 9th spot yesterday if everything held true. Do you think this is a pole car?
I don't know, a front row car, I think so, but I mean, the most important is a winning car. I've been on the pole before, so what counts is winning the race.
Been there, done that. His teammate is number 77 is in 5th place. As he walks away and gets that pretty picture, he knows he's going to be in the field today.
Wow, Mario Romancini has moved to the 224-mile-an-hour mark.
Which Robbie and I both agree are the numbers that will keep you safe.
Yeah, I think he's pretty safe there as he's just getting to about a 2:23.7 average. If he can bump this lap and put this up at a good 2:24 lap, I think that average is going to hold him. You're going to have people fighting for, you know, that last spot, but I think that's going to be in the 2:23 speed range.
Mario is a Brazilian and attended 1 year of law school in Brazil before moving to Europe to pursue his racing career. The 4th lap is 2:24.006 and a high 2:23 for an average 2:23.805, and the field is filled for the 2010 Indianapolis 500. Takuma Sato is the slowest in the field at this point, 2:21.622, and now the bumping will begin.
So that being said, Bob, Jan, I turn to you and say, what's a number? What would you have to do to fill the field here, to bump in?
I have been trying to come up with a different number than you, Robbie, but I'm going to agree with you at 2:23. I'm not decided on the change yet.
Let's talk to Paul Tracy.
Paul, you said yesterday, I just don't even know what to say. We've lost our way. Where do you think you're at in finding it?
I wish we knew. It's, you know, we've got 2 cars that are quite quick and 2 cars that are just struggling. And I think, you know, just my experience here versus Takuma is just getting us by. But I'm, you know, just doing everything I can do to eke every bit of speed out of the car. And it's just, when the track conditions are cooler, the car runs good. As soon as the temperature comes up, we just lose the balance and lose all the grip. We ran good this morning in warm-up, 225, and then, you know, couldn't match it once the temperature came up. So definitely frustrating.
When you're dealing with all this, how important is it to you to be able to work with Barry?
Well, I mean, we're all working together to try to get both of these last 2 cars in the field. Obviously, it's, you know, it's imperative. We need to decide on what we're going to do. You know, we're not on the bubble, but we're on the last row, and it's not where we want to be.
Paul, thanks. And Bob, he's definitely going to be a blast to watch on race day.
You bet so. Always races well here in Indianapolis, despite where he starts. And the green flag comes out for Jay Howard, who earlier today turned in the fastest practice lap at 225.956. This is Sarah Fisher's teammate, and a bit of a wiggle there in 1.
Heard Paul Tracy say the difference in the temperature from this morning till now makes a big difference, and it won't just be Paul Tracy that feels that. Anyone like Jay Howard that was fast this morning, it will feel different now that it has become warmer.
And yeah, that's exactly what happened to Jay Howard yesterday. They went out there, and you saw yesterday 225 please on the brow of the helmet. Jay, I talked to him last night. He said, we really thought we could turn 225. And it got hotter, and the car got away from us. And he said, what really confused us is the fact that Helio Castroneves and some of the guys went faster in the heat. He said, I don't know what they're doing, but it's obviously something we're not, because we're very susceptible to the heat, susceptible and slow as it continues to rise.
224.297 on lap number 1 for Jay Howard.
And I don't think it was just Jay Howard and Sarah Fisher Racing that were saying, how are they going faster, that being Helio, and the speeds they were posting as the temperature's coming up. I think that was a theme amongst a lot of people saying, wow, that's pretty stout efforts they're putting forth when they're doing those speeds they were yesterday afternoon in the heat, the Penske group.
Jay passed his rookie test back in 2008 here at Indianapolis, driving for Marty Roth. He was replaced by John Andretti in the car in 2008.
Starting to lose just a little bit of time. Losing a few tenths here and there. And he needs to maintain this speed to be in the, again, it's appearing as though maybe the higher 223s. 223, I think, is still the number, but you got to, I think, be on the high side of that.
Yeah, but it's really, you know, this morning when they went out at 10 o'clock, Jay Howard did close to a 226 lap. I mean, as we just heard from Jack, as the track heats up, his car goes away. The speed goes away, a little bit of handling. And we're seeing that with each lap that he's taking right now. Just a little drop off the speed with each one.
At the north end of the racetrack, Jay Howard, should he complete the run, is going to bump Takuma Sato from the starting lineup. Here he is off corner number 4, and the checkered flag is waving for Howard. Lap number 4 on his qualifying run, 223.452. He averages 223.824, and that puts him on the inside of row number 11, and Takuma Sato is bumped from the starting lineup. Let's talk with Romancini. Robbie?
Yeah, I'm walking with Mario Romancini. Gained a little bit of time, a little bit of speed from yesterday, but will it be enough?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think some of the cars will still improve their speeds, and we'll make sure we'll improve our car as well. I mean, the track changed quite a lot comparing to the practice session in the morning, so I think we still have some room in the car to improve the car.
In Indy Lights last year, you started 18th. I believe you finished 3rd and moved through more cars I could even imagine. It's a totally different world now in the big, faster car, isn't it?
For sure. It's totally different. I mean, I had a great race here last year, but this year I'm having to learn so many new things, and with the grid, the field so tight and so competitive like this, we got to make sure that every detail on the car is right, and we'll do our best to make sure we are in the race.
How much busier are you in the car using all the tools?
Oh, a lot, especially on the last run. I mean, I was using my tools every lap, not only every lap, every turn almost. So for sure the tools are very important, especially when the track starts to get hot like this.
So Firestone Indy Lights are one thing, the Eyes on IndyCar Series a totally different thing.
Romancini in the field right now, 32nd, and they are getting very close, it would appear, to having that car put back together after the crash earlier today and have Tony Kanaan on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for a qualification attempt. He is not yet in the field. We do have, however, some rookies in the field, and when we come back, we'll introduce them to you a little bit better. It's Bump Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Versus. Pagoda here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is Bump Day, and the question is, how many rookies have won the Indy 500? Well, of course, Ray Haru was a rookie when he won the very first 500 back in 1911. There have been a total of 8. The most recent was Helio Castroneves in 2001. We just had a rookie qualify for the 500 for the 30th position, Jay Howard at 223.824. Let's talk with him.
Jay, you're sitting at 31. I get the feeling you're not very happy. What's going through your head right now?
Yeah, it's an understatement, to be honest. I mean, practice went good this morning. High 225 and easy 225s on my own, no problem. And we roll out. We don't change nothing. We roll out now, and we're not very good. So car's a little loose, but yeah, it needs to be loose to be fast. Time just
so is heat playing into this, track temperature?
I don't know what's playing. Something's playing into it. But obviously I want to thank Service Central for putting us here. Obviously that's first and foremost. But yeah, if we get in the show, great. But yeah.
What are you going to do now?
Don't know, go back to the garage and just talk to the engineers and try and find out what's going on.
Jay, thanks.
Thank you.
Now, there's one theme we've seen here. 3 drivers in a row that were on 23.8, 223.8. They are not happy and they're worried. So that may be, just from that body language, the number we're looking at today.
Sarah Fisher is the owner of the car that Jay Howard drives, and she herself qualified earlier today here at Indianapolis. There are 7 rookies that came to the Speedway this year for a shot at it. We have qualified 6. The only rookie not in the field is Takuma Sato. The fastest is Anna Beatrice. Let's get to know the rookies here at Indianapolis this year just a little bit better.
Memorial Day weekend here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we get set to celebrate the 100th birthday of this cathedral of speed.
Everybody has told me that race day here is insane, and just the people and all that. I'm really looking forward to it. You know, I can't really tell you, but you know, I'm sure it's going to be crazy, and I'm going to feel like a really little person out there with everybody kind of watching us.
It's massive. I mean, I never saw so much people in one place, so I think it will be something great, and I'm really curious to see how it is when you are on the grid in your car, seeing all those people around the circuit. So I think that will be the thing. I mean, that will be the great thing for me.
The best advice I got so far is from Andre Ribeiro. That's my manager, and he's a former Penske driver, and he has been here before. So he just said, calm down, everything is kind of slow here. You got 8 days of practice. Make sure you're comfortable, that you do well.
Tony Kanaan, the first time that I was going to test on an oval, he said, Mario, always remember, the most important word on an oval is respect. You need to respect the oval. And it's true. I mean, it's important to be confident, but if you get too confident, maybe you can end up in the wall.
I don't know about good advice, because people, no matter who you talk to, you got to give this place respect, you know, and tell your horror stories, and you're kind of like, oh my God, you know, this place like kind of makes you scared of a place, you know. So I try to block that out and just, you know, I've got my I've had my way of doing things.
The track is really cool. I really enjoy it, and just you kind of feel the history actually every lap you turn around, and you think about all these great champions who have won the race here, and to be part of it is something really cool.
33 cars, everybody is fighting for his position. Nobody is taking it easy, so you really have to fight and to go for it, you know. So I think it will be great, and I hope I will be part of it. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is Bump Day, the final day of qualifying. The number 11 of Tony Kanaan. The car looks good, but boy, it's pieced together from several different cars. If you look close enough, you'll see the vinyl over a Snapple emblem over the Mr. Peanuts. This car is pieced together. They're hoping it's pieced together well enough. There, right there. See the planters right underneath the Snapple for one of the other cars. Actually, loose part right there. So, guys, I don't know if you noticed that, but a lot of stuff just sitting on the car right now, doing the final tech inspection here in a moment, and then they'll make their way out to the track for their first attempt today at qualifying. Tony Kanaan has not had a good week. Crashes in 2 days. He's hoping that this next time out on the track will be his last time to try and qualify.
Well, those guys have done a yeoman job trying to get that car back in running order after a crash at about 20 minutes after 9. So less than 3 hours, the car is rolling once again. Jack?
Let's come down here to the Izod Pit Performance Center, and I want to show you Performance Pit Center, that is. And I did a little analysis as we start to develop the bubble. We take a look at the starting lineup for this year's Indy 500 as we have it right now. Let's go back to row 11. In my opinion, and I think we all agree, and I think Jan and everybody, you were talking about the fact that a guy like Paul Tracy might be safe. Well, here's the way I see things with the cars that are yet to qualify. Let's take one and say Tony Kanaan, we saw he's about ready to go out to practice. He shakes it down, and providing he can get through that first turn, say goodbye to Saavedra, right? Now, I mean, let's go next and say, what about Jacques Lazier? Jacques Lazier is going to go out, shake down the 41. He's done this before. Can he go faster than 2:23? Well, I think he can. Say goodbye yet again. Now we come down to Takuma Sato. We heard him talk about they did a conservative run. I think this is where the nexus is going to be. I think the magic number is going to be Jay Howard's number, 223.824. Now, all that having been said, let's remember that if you get bumped, you still have qualifying attempts. You're not out for good. And still lurking in the wings, you start to look at a guy like Oriol Servia. Does he become a 10-mile jockey for somebody? I will tell you, my gut tells me he most likely will, but we're not going to see a lot of serious practice in the heat of the day. Wait for about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when, as I like to say, Grandma, put your teeth in your pocketbook. It's going to get wild around here.
Yeah, but what I think we will see here in the heat of the afternoon are qualified teams putting in full tanks and making some runs simulating race day.
No question about it. That hour from 1 to 4, that's when the green flag's going to fall at 1 o'clock. So we're going to see a lot of action out here, and it's going to be fun just to see what everybody's doing and how their cars are working in the draft. But Jack, I think, hit the number spot on, and you had mentioned it about that number of 223.824. That's a pretty good number. But what I think is really scary right now is all those fast times were posted in the first hour of qualifying, and now the track's hot. It's not going to come back into play where they really can post those speeds till, you know, Jack was saying 4 o'clock, if not even later than that.
But what's interesting is there is people, or are people, that possibly can do those numbers like a Tony Kanaan if he was to go out and practice and shake it down. That's a team that could blow out that number even in the heat of the day. Now, some of those others that he was putting X or check, you know, those are question marks, and that's going to be what drives it to the end of the day, which makes Bubble Day Bubble Day.
Well, we have brought you many Professor B's down through the years. Now, Jan Beekes has been around as a driver and as our analyst. Strike the pose here with Jan.
I have a bad feeling about this.
We're going into the vault, going back to 1988, and looking at what Professor B had to say.
Well, I started racing real early. I started racing when I was 6 years old, and I got a chance to go through driver's school at that age, and I carried on and raced. That was in quarter midgets. I did quarter midgets. I actually started racing when I was 12. And I got started because my father had an interest and built a car. And it was like a father-son, almost like Little League.
One of the most effective aids from the cockpit, of course, is the weight jacker. Now, we've done features on weight jackers before. We've talked about how it's similar to a table that has 4 legs, and if it's on an uneven surface, you stick a matchbook under one of those legs and you get your table to be balanced. Well, a race car is similar in that when the track conditions change, your car goes out of balance, and the way you put a matchbook under one of the corners is a weight jacker. This is a hydraulic ram that goes on one side, in this case, the right rear, and that can lengthen or it can contract depending on what you want to do to jack the weight. Now, we've talked about before, it's programmable. It's available on the cockpit. This system is the Menard system. 50 grand this will cost you, but it's very reliable and it's fast and it gives you a readout on the steering wheel. So in this case, Thomas Schechter says WJ for weight jacker, and you can roll this up from left to right depending on if you want more left front weight or more right front weight. And it's very effective, especially when you're turning into the corners at 230 miles an hour. But you know, the one thing I don't think we've shown before is the weight actually moving. This car is sitting on a setup pad that has 4 scales. So if we walk over to the display towards the front of the car, it gives you a real-time readout of exactly how much weight is on each corner. So if I go back to the steering wheel, take the weight jacker, I'm going to add some left front. Each time you press it, you'll see on the dash, it starts to go up, showing you you're adding weight to the left front. And sure enough, up on the display, showing on the scales, you'll notice that the right front, the upper right display is going down, and the upper left is coming up. So you're adding weight to the front of the car. And believe me, 230 miles an hour you can turn in, let's say, into turn 1. But you make those adjustments on the straightaway. You want to have a lot of trust in this system. You make the change on the straightaway, you go flat out, turn the car in, you better hope you have just the amount of weight that you're hoping for.
So you can make changes in the pit area and you can make changes in the car, and Robbie Buell has made a change here in the booth.
Do I look like an old Jan Beekes right now? Back that old picture, what do you think? That was a great piece. I love that. Now we know how that weight jacker works.
Jan explains things in layman's terms, and we...
I'm not sure. Jan's just looking, shaking his head.
Is it my birthday or what?
Despite what you might think, we do all get along.
You know, I'm kind of scared by all the tools I have in my bag behind me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And it's only 10 minutes after 1, and we got 5.5 more hours to go. Well, Tony Kanaan's car is rolling, and it's still back in Gasoline Alley, but it's going to be on pit lane here before long. And right now there are no cars that want to qualify, so the track is open for practice. We see Scott Dixon back out on the racetrack to get in some practice, and TK's car is rolling into tech.
That's exactly right, Bob. They have to safety inspect it first. So again, after that big crash today, now it's in tech inspection. Rocket and crew, Kevin Blanche, take a look at it, make sure everything's right, up to par and up to the standards. Make sure that nothing is illegal. Lets them loose. Now we're way at the back of the garage. So these guys not working too far from their actual garage, but they have to do all the tech inspections, get it done, and then they can make their way out to the track and then for their first run of the day. So just part of the process here. It's a long day, and it looks like the track is now open for practice. So we'll see some of the fast boys from yesterday actually hitting the track before we see Tony Kanaan a little bit later.
There is Scott Dixon on the 2.5-mile oval for practice. So what are they doing now, Jan?
You had mentioned it a moment ago, full tank practice. The idea is you want to have a database on whatever the track conditions will be for race day. If it's hot and sunny like today, you want to have recent running. So you fill it up with fuel, it's heavier, you put a higher downforce load on the car and find out, what do I have for the race? For a guy like Scott Dixon, he could give a hoot about a qualifying setup, throw it out the window. Now I'm thinking only about the 500.
And to pick up on that, just when you say high downforce, and I think Jack can probably show more of this later because we touched on it, but what made yesterday such an incredible day for these drivers and so pressure-packed is they're trying to drive these cars on the edge. They're trimming it out. They're putting downforce out of it. You said with the race car, you're putting downforce in it. So it's a whole different animal in terms terms of what they're looking for from that race car. You know, it's not on the knife edge. They're not looking for that. They did that yesterday in what they were doing with qualifying. Today, they want something that's consistent, repeatable when it gets in traffic with 2 or 3 cars.
Yeah, you know what? You ask Robbie, and I'm going to deliver. We've gotten the wings down here, and Mike Hull, you know, and all these guys that are doing full tanks, as you alluded to, let's go back to the rear wing. We talked during qualifying, 0 degree to -5 degree and being right on the edge, correct? Well, now what you want is you want to go to the opposite extreme. You still want balance in your race car, but what you want to do is you want to make it capable of going 500 miles. Capable of being comfortable. So there's a lot of changes because of the weight of the fuel. You're taking 22 gallons of fuel, and that's at 7 pounds a gallon, just about. So you're going to have a lot of shifts during the course of a run. So what do? You build in that downforce that you took out to qualify. One of the easiest and quickest ways to do it is get rid of that negative wing. Yeah, can you hear it? I hear all the drivers that are already qualified going, yes. And the way they do that is they just basically change that angle and lift it up this time and let the wing get back into the effect of producing the downforce. If at 1 degree of negative wing, it reduces 50 pounds of downforce, 1 degree of positive wing reciprocates that and gives you an additional 50 pounds of downforce. So let me go back to my knife and my apple, guys. Yesterday, we were trying to balance it, right? Real simple. This is what you want on race day. No problems.
Is that apple the same one you were using on, what, Friday?
It's a stunt apple.
There you go. The track is open for practice. Tony Kanaan is not yet in the Indianapolis 500 after crashes on consecutive days. The field is filled. He's going to be looking to get in later. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Bump Day 2010. Field is filled. One driver has been bumped out, Takuma Sato, and now the track is open for practice. And coming in after running together for a few laps, that's Ed Carpenter, and right ahead of him, Marco Andretti. And they're doing what Jan and Robbie talked about just a few minutes ago, seeing how the car will work in traffic. Jacques Lazier has jumped into the 41 car. Lindy?
Well, first of all, can you just describe what today has been like for you so far?
Yeah, it's been one of those deals where obviously in the last couple of months we've been working with AJ trying to get a deal together to run a 3rd car here at Indy, and unfortunately we just came up a little bit short on time. And you know, honestly, we have a suite together up in by turn 4, and I was setting up in the suite this morning and just got a call from Larry to come on down, and so I came down, and here we are, getting ready to go out.
So what's it like to just have to jump in like this? I'm not expecting it at all.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's kind of been, you know, the history of my career. I mean, obviously, I substituted for Robbie Gordon, and at that point, I jumped in the car I'd never been in before and went out went racing. So, you know, we have obviously quite a bit of time. The track's getting a little warm. We'll just go out there, shake it down, see how it feels, and then try to get some speed out of it.
What's going on behind you right now?
I think we're going back to kind of a conservative setup just to get comfortable, get the car kind of more of a baseline setup, and then we'll just get comfortable with it. Like I said, get up to speed, try to get you know, 10, 15 laps, get up to speed, and then you know, we'll see where we go from there. What
speed are you hoping for?
Well, I'm looking at everything. I mean, obviously, I'm hoping for, you know, very similar to what my teammate did, what Vitor did in 224, you know, 224, 4, somewhere in that range. And I think that'll be pretty safe.
All right, we'll let you get back to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bob?
Jacques Lazier, a veteran here in Indianapolis. I talked to him this past week, probably Tuesday. He said he was looking, but really didn't think anything was going to materialize, and by golly, it has for him. He'll try to get into the race a little bit later in the afternoon. Here is the provisional lineup. Now, these top drivers are, of course, locked in. Helio Castroneves will lead them to the green flag. A week from today, Will Power, his teammate, starts in the middle of row number 1. Dario Franchitti On the outside, in the second row, another Penske driver, Ryan Briscoe, Alex Tagliani, the best of the non-Penske and Ganassi drivers, and Scott Dixon. Rahal, Carpenter, and Muto in row number 3.
And really, with that row, we saw an impressive drive from Rahal. He was absolutely holding on. And Carpenter, his first time in the cockpit this year, I don't think we expected that. Great job.
And one of the things you're seeing as you go through these rows, you saw Justin Wilson, now you see Mike Conway. Those are your cars, Robbie. What a fantastic day for Dreyer and Reinbold, getting all 4 cars in day 1. See Ryan Hunter-Ray for Andretti Autosport. So nice for some of the smaller teams. Some of the big ones had major struggles.
Back to row number 7, we find our first rookie, the fastest, and it's from the Dreyer and Reinbold stable. E.J. Viso, Thomas Schechter, and the rookie, Ana Beatriz. Another rookie, Ana Simona di Silvestro. In the middle of the 8th row is Danica Patrick, and then another rookie, Bertrand Baguette. Row number 9, Junqueira, and what a ride for that young man.
This is what we've seen today, those who have come out to try and fill the back end of the field. Bruno Junqueira, as you said, Bob, what a fantastic performance for him. I think Lloyd and Andretti certainly are safe at this point.
And there's Sarah Fisher as a team owner driver. She's in the field pretty solid, that 224. What a big smile of relief we saw in her. And PT, he's not too happy with that 223.8, but he's definitely in there. I think he'll be okay for the KB team.
And the 11th rower now is Jay Howard, Mario Romancini, and Sebastian Saavedra. Saavedra, the slowest car in the field at 223.634 miles an hour. Team Penske is on the pit lane at least, probably being prepared for some runs out here in the heat of the day. Next Sunday at this time, the Indianapolis 500 will hopefully be underway, and they're trying to get in some runs at the exact time of day in which they will race. Tony Kanaan hoping that things turn around for him after 2 days of disappointments here at Indianapolis.
It's been an eventful Bump Day here with Andretti. John, that is, going out to make the first attempt. It was a warm day, but this is the coolest part of it. And a nice job for Andretti Autosport, who, of course, had issues right off the bat this morning. Aldo, his father, looking on. And you can hear Tom Anderson saying, I think we're safe with that number. Now, this was got to be the great story of the day. Alex Tagliani leaning in as a team owner, talking to Bruno Junqueira, saying, just give us nice 4 smooth laps. And boy, did he do that. 225.6. Look out. He said afterwards, I think I could have done 227 then on the front row if you would let me do this yesterday. But what a fantastic story for Bruno Junqueira and a brand new race team. Not quite all the same kind of joy for Paul Tracy. He gets the car in at a 223.8. He may be safe, may not be safe. Wasn't so confident when he gets out of the car. We certainly know that if Paul Tracy is in the field, he will race to the front. But this is a long day ahead of now Paul Tracy, wondering what it's going to take to be sure he's in the top 33.
The track is open for practice. Look at the traffic there on the backstretch. Now, there are 4 cars that have not qualified. Takuma Sato, who has been bumped, but he'll get a couple of more chances. Tony Kanaan, Jacques Lazier, who we talked with just a little bit ago, and Milka Duno. So with the field full, 4 more cars will try to get into the race before the day is over. And this is always a very entertaining portion of the day as these cars that have already qualified get out there and mix it up a little bit.
Now, they want to do this, Bob. This is what you're looking for. You want to try to run in paths because everything's all been about qualifying on your own single lap runs. Now, this is what you want. Get in there. What does my car do when I'm mixing it up? Because, like you said, a week from today, I'm doing this for $3 million.
And a week from today, if you look at the weather, they say it's going to be very similar to exactly what we have today. So when we talk about the drag and the downforce, and these race cars have more downforce in them, how much downforce do you need to have? You want to figure out what speed. Look at that. Is that Freddie Penske?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, right in a row, huh? Look at that.
The Penske Squadron.
And so what these guys will do, all 3 of them, they're in radio communication via their spotter, is they will rotate One guy leading, then one guy will be in the middle. There's just kind of a nice pullover. Okay, Elio, you go to the front, and I'm just going to pick up the back, and that's Briscoe picking up the back. You see what his car does back there, Jack?
Yeah, but Robbie, also, it's more than the Blue Angels in formation flying this year. Remember, they've made some changes in the rear wing and the rear ring strut area that have streamlined the car, and they've cleaned up the air. So now drivers are trying to time their passes. They now can sniff the draft out. We heard yesterday some of the drivers saying as far as 100 to 200 yards away. So what these drivers need to do is they need to time their passes, and what they want to make sure is, okay, when do I feel the draft? When do I get the push? And when am I able to blow by? That's going to come into play, I would say, around lap 180 come a week from today.
Well, one thing that has happened that we've heard the drivers say is the package on the race cars this year versus last year races, they've gotten rid of what they call a little gurney wicker. There was a half-inch wicker that was on the rear end plates, and so it's made cleaner air coming off the car front. So the guys behind get a much better draft, and they can get up right behind the cars in front of them. Last year during the race, there was a number of folks that said, I just can't get close enough. Now, it looks as though they can run right up on that gearbox, which is going to produce just a lot better racing. And like Jack said, when lap 180 hits, look out.
The Ryzen Team Penske car driven by Will Power is second in line. Elio Castroneves, the pole sitter, is leading the group into the second corner. Ryan Briscoe has dropped back just a little bit. But they have good starting positions for the 500-mile race with Elio on the pole, Power alongside in the middle of the front row, and Ryan Briscoe inside row number 4. So they're first, second, and fourth for their starting positions here at Indianapolis. Bump day here in Indianapolis. Qualifying will continue until 6 o'clock. But right now the track is open for practice as the qualified cars get in some full tank runs, simulating what it's going to be like a week from today for the 2010 Indianapolis 500. Bob Jenkins, Robbie Buell, Jan Beekes, Jack Arute, Lindy Thaxton, and Robbie Floyd back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we cover qualifying here on Versus. We were with you for 7.5 hours yesterday, a 6.5 hour show today. We'll be with you until 6:30 this afternoon Eastern Time as we wrap up the qualifying and determine the 33 starters. Right now, track open for practice, and we're seeing a lot of cars out there in race day setup.
And Bob, they're in race day setup running around at 223. That's with fuel and with downforce. Now, of course, the draft helps you somewhat, but when we have spoken about making the car more comfortable and adding downforce, and you start with a car that does 227, almost 228, you can end up with a car pretty racy at 223 when you have some people would love to be doing that at all to try and get in the field right now.
Yeah, and part of the calculations in this game is you say, okay, with 10 laps to go and I'm leading the pack, how fast does my car need to be? So when you're behind somebody, yeah, you can always get a draft and post a number. But do you have to be able to do 223 by yourself in race trim at the end of this race? That's the bogey number that everybody's trying to figure out right now. It's like, okay, my car is good behind guys, and yeah, I can do a 223 at 222, just like you said they're doing. But what can you do by yourself when you're trying to chase the pack down or leading the pack? That's kind of the bogey number, and usually that's about a 221 number is what you want to do, and that comes back to how much downforce do you have to have in the car to do that number. And if you're only at 220, well, then maybe you got to take some downforce off to get to that number, but your car isn't going to handle as well. And that's the fine-tuning that's going on for the next couple hours right now on the racetrack. We're about a half hour into the race if it was race day, so it really is a great comparison for gathering data right now for race day.
And the 11T car has made its way onto pit lane. Tony Kanaan crashed the car earlier today in practice, the second consecutive day that he has done so, and it was in the exact same location on the racetrack. The crew has done an incredible job getting that car back in running order, and TK will have the helmet on before long and getting in some practice before making a run.
Right over his shoulder there was Steve Horn, who was in the background. Of course, he was his team owner back when Kanaan was back in the Indy Lights days, essentially helped Tony get established. And that's what really was his springboard to become the powerhouse that Tony Kanaan has become.
Yeah, actually, you know, back in '95, Horn was a team owner for Elio.
Oh.
No, Elio and Kanaan were teammates in Indy Lights.
Oh.
What a power punch that was in Indy Lights with those two guys.
Steve Horn, a veteran here at the Indianapolis, although he hasn't been around in the last couple of years. Good to see him back. TK waiting patiently there on the wall. Can you imagine what's going through his mind?
No.
Don't want to.
Wow.
Huh?
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Wow, onboard camera here with Dan Wheldon. Very cool.
Interesting thing about Dan, he likes to have the wheel straight in the corner. And he doesn't mind doing a little counter steer on the short chutes and on the straightaway. So you'll notice as he gets on the back straightaway, it's not going to be straight. The wheel will be a little bit cocked over to the right because he likes to split the difference. Doesn't want to have his hands, wants to have it just the most comfortable position when you're mid-corner.
Which is right there.
There's nothing better than riding on board at the Speedway.
No lifting off the throttle. He just throttled down there. We haven't heard any change in the pitch.
He just changed the bars. That's one of the things they're doing. That's the anti-roll bars. He went with his left hand down to make an adjustment. Not necessarily that he needs it, but they have to log the data. Say, okay, if I went to position 4 on that, what does the car feel like? It's all gathering data for a race day, knowing that you want to be in the middle of the range. You don't want to be stuck on one end and say, I wish I would have had more front bar come race day.
Yeah, that's very important that you have that range, like you said, to go both ways with the bar. It really makes a big difference. When I was driving, you know, the one thing I thought about the bars always helping the middle out, so I just could make quick decisions in the car when the car would say, oh, it's getting loose here, it's pushing there. Is for me, the bars always help the middle out of the corner, but if I was having problems getting into the corner, I use the weight jacker. Now, sure, it affects the whole corner, but again, for me making quick decisions in the race car, that's kind of how I divided those tools for my advantage.
He's driving, of course, the National Guard car. This is Armed Forces Day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We had several young men and women take their oath and join the Armed Forces earlier today here at the Speedway. And there was a satellite link-up back in the garage of Dan Wheldon to troops in Afghanistan, in Iraq. Earlier today, back in the garage area of Dan Wheldon. Communicating with troops in Iraq. There's the satellite link up. John Barnes, who is owner of the team, really has a passion for the National Guard and all the men and women who serve our country very well, locally and abroad. And we'd like to welcome all of our men and women in uniform stationed around the world watching today's telecast of Bump Day from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway via the American Forces Network. God bless all of you. Dario Franchitti on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I believe that is his teammate, Scott Dixon, just ahead of him.
Interesting that the top teams have decided that they want to do their in-traffic running with each other. Don't take chances in finding a couple of dance partners out there that you don't really know you can count on. Get your team cars together and get there and get a feel. That's definitely the safer way to go.
Well, it's also the easiest way to plan. Say, okay, you know what, Scott, you're going to go out, Dario, you're going to go out, here we go together. If they can hook up with some group out there, they will.
And I think the interesting thing about the Penske side of it is it looked to me like Briscoe couldn't keep up. To me, like it was Power and Castro Neves went off into the daylight, and Briscoe is like, hang on a minute, I'm having a hard time with this kind of thing here. And that would indicate by his qualifying time, he's not as happy as the other two.
Young race fans at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and old Target Chip Ganassi cars are starting outside row number 1 and outside row number 2 for this year's 500-mile race. Down to Robbie Floyd.
Well, you can hear the loud engine roar of the Honda just behind me. Tony Kanaan is in the car, and as they pulled his car down the front straightaway here, the crowd was cheering for him. They want to see TK out there, and it looks like he's about to go, guys. The car's fired up, and they're about to send him out for his first qualifying run today.
It will be practice first and then a qualifying run perhaps later in the afternoon. Looks like Tony Kanaan had the eyes closed there as the engine fired. I'm sure he's asking for guidance from above and getting him into the field solidly for this year's 500-mile race. Back in a moment.
We can break out, we can be free, faster and faster, you and me.
Some of the emotions of Bump Day at Indianapolis. Tony Kanaan crashed the car yesterday. He crashed the car today. They have repaired the car he crashed today, and he is ready to go out for his first practice laps. Hoping that things go so much better. Again, it was the second time that he came down the track yesterday on his qualification run that he crashed, and it was the second lap of practice today that he lost control in the same area and put it into the wall.
Again, and there's no waiting for tomorrow for Tony. It's all right now. I mean, you know, again, just we saw just that shot looking at him sitting in his helmet, just concentrating. I mean, you know, just think at the barriers that he's just put up right now. He's just thinking that he needs to get in this race. There's nothing else in the world right now for him except that.
And another member of the Andretti Autosport team is Danica Patrick, who had a disappointing qualifying run yesterday. She said she didn't like her car, but she's solidly in this year's 500 with a 4-lap average of 224.217. Down to the Izod Performance Pit Center with Jack Arute.
All right, we've talked a little bit about how the wings are changed. We've also talked about some of the changes that were made to the wing configuration versus last year. Let's go to our board here and let's analyze. This is on board from Danica Patrick. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to watch Danica's hands as she comes up along slower, faster cars. Go ahead. Let it run. Now, stop it right here. What I want to show you is take a look between the two wing struts. Right in that area there. You see that black piece right there? Well, basically what that is that's the rain and caution light that was utilized and is still utilized. But instead of being located in that area right there, it has now been moved to the rear attenuator, and that makes a big difference because it's gotten that out of the air. And as Robbie Buell talked about, this is that gurney flap that we were talking about that used to hang on the outside of the end plates of the wing. That's gone as well. So basically, now what you can end up doing is you've got single air. Think of it like a motorboat wake. Remember when you're skiing, if you're on the outside of the wake, you've got a lot of chop. When you're in that wake, though, it's nice and smooth sailing. That's what these drivers are experiencing now, that the air isn't quite as disturbed directly behind a race car.
That, of course, they made some changes for Kentucky last year, right, to make the racing a little bit closer and a little funner, and they certainly have accomplished that goal. Now, there are 4 guys walking around here who are the 4 founders of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Allison, Newby, Wheeler, and Fisher. Hey, I did it. Right out of my head.
I'm glad that you weren't looking to us because I wasn't sure what gaps I was going to fill in for you. But those subtle changes that Jack talked about, I mean, you wouldn't think that little gurney or that rain light does that much, but at 230 miles an hour, it really disturbs the air, how it flows off the back of the car. And with these cars being so dependent on how the air goes over and under the wings, it makes a huge difference. It's cleaner, so it allows guys to run up. And for us as fans, for everybody out here, it's going to produce a lot better racing. And we saw at Kentucky, as you said, when that change first started, the racing was fantastic.
Much better.
Yep, sure was.
Watching Dario Franchitti get in some practice laps on Bump Day. Well, when we had the in-car camera a little while ago with Dan Wheldon, Jan said that he just made an adjustment with his bar. What did he mean? Well, let's call upon the professor once again for an explanation of more changes you can make in the cockpit.
One thing you'll hear a lot on the radios at Indy is, use your bars, use your bars. Well, what are they talking about? Well, of course, that's the anti-roll bars that the drivers can adjust inside the cockpit. You have an adjustment for the front and for the rear, and you have various clicks that you can put that through. Now, mechanically, what is that doing? Well, in the case of the rear anti-roll bar, they have blades. This right now is in the soft position, but as you rotate and you move those clicks in the car, it changes it over to the stiff setting. Now, without putting that in a vise and twisting it, it's kind of hard to show how the mechanics work. But courtesy of our own funny man, Robbie Buell, you may remember last year, he presented me with my own pocket protector, but inside there's a tool here that'll help us explain exactly what happens with those blades. This would be the soft setting. So right here, you can see the blade is what flexes. But as you gradually turn it over to the stiff setting, now the blade doesn't flex, you actually twist the bar. So on a front anti-roll bar, this could be 1,500 pounds of force per degree. You turn it to the stiff setting, now it twists the bar, that could be 7,500. So you can certainly get the idea that one little click and turn of this blade can make a big difference on how the car feels.
What do you think, resident funny man? You like that one?
Well, I'm glad that you applied the gift that I gave you last year, and you know, but that's a great visual to understand what a bar does, because all it is a bar, but the angle that it's in, it just kind of has more flex to it and gives you more bite to the racetrack, and therefore, you know, helps the drivers get the balance they want. I wonder if I give you that lovely wig that I was just wearing for, you know, a parting gift this year, where that may show up next year.
TK goes back onto the racetrack looking for his 9th start here in Indianapolis. He's led every race that he has been in except last year. He did go out for what we call an installation lap just to check to see that there were no leaks anywhere, and now he is going out for perhaps more serious practice. Boy, you just got to feel sorry for TK and all he has been through this month, because, as I said earlier, he is one of the sentimental favorites here. Just a nicer guy you will not find, and to have him experience all these downs and valleys is just unbelievable. Another member of the Andretti Autosport team is Ryan Hunter-Reay.
And the Izod car, you know, in the field, the winner at Long Beach, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and it was totally different for you last year. You qualified at literally the last second. How does it feel this year?
It feels excellent this year. I feel like it was my birthday waking up this morning. Knowing I'm not going to be out there today doing what I did last year, there's no stress like that on a driver. You get that level of stress in a race, but in a race, you're in the heat of the moment. You don't have time to actually think about it, whereas Bump Day qualifying, you have time to let all that pressure soak in. It really has an effect, so I'm thrilled to be on the other side of it this year.
Tony Kanaan, he's the leader of your team, no question about that. He's a veteran. Can you talk to him and tell him anything about your experiences last year coming down?
Yeah, I think Tony's going to be fine. I don't think it'll come down to that for Tony, you know, coming down the last second. I remember going out last year with, right before the gun went off, I was told, hey, we're out of the field right now. We got to go qualify our way in, and we dropped that rear wing to a level I haven't been at, and man, that takes a whole new level of commitment. But Tony will be fine today. You know, the team's done an amazing job turning around cars, and you know, he's going to be good. Everything's on track right now, so just a little hiccup this morning.
Everybody was guessing what might have happened this morning. It looked like the Snapdragon hit him, not even under full power. Can you give us any insight about that?
Yeah, anytime you have to switch cars, you know, they're going to be a little different, even if all the same settings are on it. You know, like I said, the guys did a great job getting him in a new car, and some stuff didn't come in the way he had hoped, and it just snapped around on him. Indy's a very strange place. It can happen at any time. You think your car is perfectly comfortable, it'll come around on you. It's different from any other racetrack, so they got a handle on it now, and we'll work up to it, get them into a good pace. And
what do you think the team's thought is? Sato went out there, of course, his first time at Indy, went out there with a comfortable wing position. Do you think we'll get TK in that mode for his first qualifying run, or they try and get it over with and try and run a little flatter?
Yeah, he'll be flat, you know, and that's up to these guys where they want him and where they want to run him on downforce and everything else. Only trim to what's necessary.
Well put. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks.
Bob?
All right. We came on the air with the crash package from Tony Kanaan. We're going to show it to you again for those of you who are just joining us and missed what happened yesterday and today. At 20 minutes after 9 and the track open for practice at 9 o'clock, here's what happened to TK.
And Bob, we were in the booth together and we looked down and said, oh, they're showing yesterday's replay. And all of a sudden, when you see the car here starting to lift in the air, hang on a minute, this wasn't a replay from yesterday. This is the exact same spot. He hit the wall just a little bit earlier. You heard Ryan Hunter-Reay say, Indy is a place, and there you can hear the contact, that it'll just step out on you at a moment's notice. But look how similar to what happened to him yesterday.
Car slides through the short chute and makes contact with the wall in turn number 2 yesterday, and today it was in the short chute, but both hits very big. Ooh. And Danica Patrick on the right with Ziggy Harkis. They're saying, I can't believe it.
Of course, it's exactly the same as yesterday is what they're saying to each other. Yep. Danica in one way is saying, I told you guys my car wasn't good. And at the same time, you heard her say she felt so bad for Tony Kanaan as the team leader.
And it also was the second time by. So the life cycle of tires of heating up with pressures and temperatures was identical as well, because second time by the start finish, then went into turn 1, identical incidents.
All right, let's check on the Andretti Autosport team. Marco Andretti inside row 6, Ryan Hunter-Reay middle of row 6, then Patrick in the middle of 8, Andretti in the middle of 9, and TK yet to qualify, crashing on consecutive days. Lindy?
Sebastian Saavedra sitting on the bubble right now. Tony Kanaan, his car out in pit lane. This is your first 500. You pretty nervous?
I am, you know, it's a hell of an experience, but I never expected to be there in the bubble. It's something that we are working through, and we're very positive that I think we found what we needed, and now we're going to practice to see if it does work and to try to qualify again.
Yeah, you said you found something very interesting. What does that mean exactly?
You'll check it out. I don't know. I think with the engineers, they've done an incredible job, and the Complete 29 crew to put this car together in such a short amount of time. But hopefully it's what we're looking for, and that consistency that we've shown, but 1 mile more, that's what we need.
Okay, and Tony Kanaan out in pit lane right now, about to go out and practice. Oh, rough couple days for him. Stay with us. You don't want to miss it when we come back.
Pole sitter Helio Castroneves getting in some practice with his teammate, Will Power. Helio moved into exclusive territory yesterday when he won his 4th pole position. Rex Mays has 4, so does A.J. Foyt. And now Helio has 4 pole positions here in Indianapolis. The record is held by Rick Mears, who was on the pole position 6 times.
Well, remember, we talked about at the end of the race, you know, you're leading the pack. What kind of speeds do you have to be turning out there, pulling that train behind you? The last time by for Helio, now he's just kind of pulled over. He said, okay, Will, your turn to lead. Let me see what my car does behind you. But Helio did a 221 flat. So right now, you know, we don't know how much fuel's in the car. That's something you got to weigh into it, too, is, you know, do you have full 22 gallons of ethanol in there, as well as the tire life. So those are all things you have to balance.
Last year, late in the race, when you needed to, 221 was about the pace if you really needed to stand on it. So from what Jack was talking about and the changes, and you mentioned as well, Robbie, with wickers and rain lights and all sort of things, the cars should be faster this year, especially in a draft. So they're in the ballpark on a warm day when you need to get after it near the end of the race. This is a great race day simulation.
Yeah, and one of the things that many of the people are reporting is that in the draft you can actually get a tow. Heretofore it was probably worth 1.5 miles, maybe 1.5 miles per hour. But this year they've been somewhat surprised. Not only can you, as they say, snip the draft out sooner, but you can also use the slingshot and gain as much as 3 miles an hour. I think that's really going to tighten things up come race day.
You know, Jack, that's really a great point. When you say they're going to gain 3 miles an hour, so a whole nother function that these drivers need to be working on today, just getting a shot at TK out on track, that's good to see, but is gear selection. So if you're going to gain 3 miles an hour, you got to be able to go up in the gearbox to be able to maintain and carry that speed. So that's also another thing that the driver's going to have to work on. What do you want to have for your 4th, 5th, and 6th gear to carry those speeds? It's a guessing game to what you think that pace is going to be.
Wow, TK is up to 226 already.
That's
trap speed.
Yes,
okay.
That's actual real speed at the moment. Telemetry.
And to give it reference, we saw that 227. That's about the same spot that Jan's been giving us numbers of saying, okay, he's at 229, or we heard that Elio actually did a 231.
Correct.
TK was at
227.3 when he turned in last time into turn number 1.
Again, and track conditions, I mean, you know, this has to be probably the hottest track condition that we've seen yet this month right now, since we've had the sun out all morning.
Hey, Bob, I'm going to play to your field of expertise and experience. Who set the fastest qualifying lap ever at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
Ari Leyendijk?
Yeah. Did it happen on pole day?
Oh, no.
No. Could we conceivably see TK grab one by the horns and be fast enough that if he had qualified yesterday, be on the front row?
Boy, you are the eternal. He's just trying to get in the field and not crash in turn number 1.
I was going to say,
I think we could see the fastest of the whole weekend.
You know me, as we look at that board with this telemetry, I want the whole pie. I don't want a piece.
Yeah. Trust me, TK doesn't want the whole pie right now. He just wants the sliver of that pie that gets him in the 500. That's all he wants right now.
Yeah, it happened in 1996 when the 1- and 4-lap track records were set by Ari Leyendijk, not on pole day. 237.4 is the 1-lap record, and 236.9 is the 4-lap record. Tony Kanaan, after a lap of 223.3, will come back into the pit area. Talking about pole sitters a little bit ago and how Elio moved into exclusive territory. Other active pole winners here at Indianapolis. Scott Dixon won it in 2008, Kanaan in 2005, and Bruno Junqueira 2002.
Now here's a team that didn't used to have a team car to go practice with, and now they do with Davey Hamilton joining with Rafael Matos, and this is where having a teammate is very, very handy, of course, for setup data, and now they have a chance to go out there and run and play like we've seen the big teams.
And how you ID those two cars, because those HP cars are absolutely similar paint jobs. That leading car is Davey Hamilton. If you look at those mirrors, he's got silver mirrors and silver end plates, wing plates. And then Rafa behind him, they're in black. So that's a quick way. And then obviously, you can always look to the helmets. Rafa's got a little bit of orange-red right in his helmet, and that's a quick reference.
Boy, Alex Tagliani is breathing easy today after a performance yesterday that was beyond belief almost, Lindy.
He is breathing easy. Don't see you in your fire suit right now. What are your plans today?
We are going to go out with my car to do some, race running, evaluate what we have. But the most important thing was to concentrate on Bruno's car this morning and put him into the field. And what a great job the crew did. I mean, just to prepare two good cars like this, it's a good tribute to the quality of people we have.
Now that you have him beside you, talk about how this just helps the overall team.
Yeah, it's, I mean, my wish would have been, that, and everybody's wish in the team, that we would have started the week together, and that would have made us stronger, I think. But, you know, like I said before, we're kind of tight a little bit with budget, and it's not easy for us to give free rides to people, and it was all tie into money, and great job from B&W speakers to help us out, give him a chance to qualify today, and we did, and the crew did a good job, give him a good car, and he's in the field now.
Do you feel pretty fortunate to be where you're at, considering some of the stuff you've seen happen out on track?
Yes, very fortunate. Like I said before, I'm so proud to be their driver. I mean, the guys showed to me that they're top quality. The engineer gave us a good car from the get-go, and it's not an easy track and an easy week to get out of it with no bumps and scratches. And so what we accomplished this week was a tremendous honor for me, but for everybody else. And there's still a lot of work to do, but so far, you know, the team did a fantastic job.
Thank you, Alex. And Tags was nice enough to let us tag along with them all day yesterday. Take a look.
It's pole day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 2010 500. Cars are lined up for qualifying and a chance to compete in the greatest spectacle in racing. There will be 2 segments of qualifying. First, to establish the fastest 24, and then the pole shootout between 4:30 and 6 o'clock Eastern Time for the top 9 that will determine the pole sitter for this year's 500-mile race.
4 or 5 days we've been in the top 3. Yeah. They wonder what we're doing. That good.
The second time you get the start-finish line, you get the green flag. Yeah, I know that.
This is the kind of start that Alex Tagliani wants. The ruler says he's P1.
Yeah, 2:26.640, taking the short way around. Wow.
Right. Well done, Mr. McDonald. Great job, everyone on the engineering stand. You guys are awesome. Love you all. Great job.
Well done, guys.
Yes, thanks, Joe. 77, number 1. It's not over.
It's not over.
And then it all starts again.
And it all starts again.
Checkered flag for Elio. Now Tagliani is P2 with a 2:26.392.
But what's fun for the fans this afternoon is not fun to the driver. I would like just to be on the pole right now, but it's going to be interesting and very intense this afternoon.
Good job, Roger.
You guys come out and give us a run.
We're saving it for now.
You got on the boat.
You go out and make your run. You can go to your pit, or you can roll back down here if you want. But when you get to the tank, you need to be ready to qualify again.
4:30, 4:35, 4:40, about 4:45, you'll be doing your first run. 25 minutes.
Okay.
And then you should get 2 runs from there. Okay. It's been all right so far. Ask me at 6 o'clock what I think. Come a long way in a short time, Mr. Tagliani.
I know. Hey.
Good luck, man. Hey, good run.
Hey, it's all about him.
Oh, I know.
Looking, we need to find about 3/10 more of a mile an hour. So made some changes that we think will have that much in it, as long as it can still be flat.
Green flag waving for Tagliani.
Alex Tagliani had told me earlier this week that if he was in that fast 9, no matter what, he was going to go for it, even if he was sitting 9th. And I thought, that's pretty optimistic of him. But this Canadian has had a heck of a day today. Alex Tagliani in 3.
You're going to go get it again, aren't you?
I'm going to try. My suggestion is at the end of the run then, as we get it turned around fairly quick and jump back in line, just to see what happens. So you're P5 right now. Okay, back on the wing, Donnie. Back on the rear wing, guys.
That this guy is going to be a major player. Alex Tagliani with 1 start under his belt here at Indy.
I think we've got a 5th place car.
That's all we got, Rob.
That's what we got.
We got everything on.
Good job, buddy.
Select Izod IndyCar driver. Driver selected, Dan Wheldon. Select race transport. Mission finish first. The fastest drivers in the world. See who wins at racetotheparty.com.
We can break out!
From Indianapolis, Indiana, scene of the world's greatest racing, Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
The Indianapolis 500, the greatest spectacle in racing. An American tradition with a century of pursuits. 33 cars running wide open at over 200 miles an hour. A 500-mile chase toward racing immortality. Time trials at Indianapolis have placed 24 cars in the field through yesterday's 2 stages of qualifying. It was an afternoon of drama. The highest of highs and lowest of lows.
Somehow I wish we would just be over with now.
Plain bad luck for one team or pushing the envelope a little too hard. A few Indy favorites were left on the outside looking in for the evening pole shootout. As the top 9 cars return to requalify, Helio Castroneves in his quest for his 4th Indy 500 title turned the fastest 4-lap average, landing him on the pole position for the 2nd consecutive year.
Wow! Almost 228 miles an hour.
An incredible performer for an incredible owner.
Let the games begin.
Today, the final 9 positions will be filled. Then drivers must bump their way into the 500 field, where the fastest 33 cars will make the race. It's Bump Day at the Brickyard.
Let's go, baby! We're gonna run wide open today. Come on!
Another day of highs and lows. Things can't get much lower for sentimental favorite Tony Kanaan. This is not a replay of yesterday. At 9:20 this morning, shortly after the track opened for practice, Kanaan in trouble again in the same area of the racetrack in his backup car. Listen at the impact. He makes contact with the safer barrier twice and does extensive damage to the backup car. Yesterday at 112, this is what happened. He slid all the way to the second turn before making contact, but again, heavy damage to that car. We'll sync up and watch Danica Patrick on the right. His teammate, she's had trouble getting up to speed, and Ziggy Harka saying, just like yesterday. Tony Kanaan is okay, but an incredible chain of events at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And so we welcome you to Bump Day, the final day to get into the Indianapolis 500. The driver prior to yesterday, when the track opened for first day qualifying, who was 6th fastest, has crashed 2 cars in 2 days.
Incredible. And I talked to Tony Kanaan this morning, and listen to this. He's there first thing helping to work with his guys. He's like, I'm part of this team. But he said, yesterday I had a fast car. We're going to go back out in my backup car, and it's going to have the exact same setups on it. And look at that. Second time by, same results. So think about Tony Kanaan, where he is mentally right now. Here's a guy that thought he was going to be in the top 9. He's not. Okay, we'll get in the top 24. Crash, that didn't happen. No big deal. Come back today, Bump Day, get in my backup car, and I go in the wall. So he's going to a place in his gut that he hasn't been and didn't want to go to.
And Robbie, of course, consider that on that 5-car Andretti Autosport team, he is considered the anchor, the team leader. And yesterday we saw that Danica Patrick had that confident shaking run, and she's all shaky when she got out. Today should be a day of restoring confidence, but instead they now have Kanaan on the outside, John Andretti on the outside, and they have to try to somehow pull this thing together.
Let's get the latest from the garage area at the Tony Kanaan area. Here's Robbie Floyd.
Well, there is a benefit in having a 5-car team in Andretti Autosports. You look at this car. This is the T car for Tony Kanaan right here over my left shoulder. They are almost ready to get it back out on track, but they have some parts from other team members. Ryan Hunter-Reay this morning crashed his car as well. He's securely in the field, but they're going to actually take parts from Ryan Hunter-Reay's car, who's in the field, and put him on this T car, which is a brand new one. New motor, new chassis. So the parts from that car will come into here, but they had all teams. They will have all the teams working on this car, from the Go Get Daddy team, from the Venom team, the Izod team. They have all been here. They are down here at the last minute. Actually, Ryan Hunter-Reay did not crash. Excuse me about that part. They are taking parts from that car to use on this one. So they are about ready. And you notice they are using the vinyl. Last year when we saw this car having a hard time qualifying, they used Hideki Muto's tub with Tony Kanaan's parts. Now, this year they've got the vinyl ready, so they want it to look like TK's car, Jack Arute, who I hear has more drama in the pits.
Well, when you take a look at drama that we were entertained with yesterday, of course, to fill the field of 24, that's rows 1 through 8. What about the run and the showdown by Helio Castroneves? His teammate will find himself in the middle of the front row. Then in row 1, you've got Dario Franchitti right behind him. You've got Scott Dixon. And how about the performance of Alex Tagliani? Then I think in row 3, probably one of the best performances is right there between these two drivers. We're talking about Graham Rahal and Ed Carpenter. A little further in the field, this is where it got dicey. Guys were actually satisfied with just making it in the 24. That was the case for Mario Moraes. It was also the case for Ryan Hunter-Reay and, of course, Marco Andretti. You get down here, though, and things get a little dicey. Danica Patrick, not happy with her car. She's back here. There's still a lot of cars to qualify. In fact, John Andretti is going to roll out in the number 43 for his warm-up lap. He, along with Kanaan, along with Alex Lloyd, Jay Howard, all of these cars, by my count, there are 13 cars for 9 spots. So it's going to get a little dicey. One thing I should update you on, though, A.J. Foyt IV has not been comfortable in the 41. He was bumped out of the top 24 and has decided not to compete in this year's Indianapolis 500. So Jacques Lazier has been called in to replace A.J. Foyt IV in the ABC Supply 41. How many times, guys, have we seen A.J. Foyt be at the center of the excitement on Bump Day? Could be the same way again today.
It is Bump Day. We have down through the years seen drivers changing rides and just doing everything, of course, they can to get into the field. And we're going to start it off with John Andretti, who first came here to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for a 500 in 1988. And he finished 21st. His best finish here at Indy was in 1991. He finished in 5th position. John Andretti did not get on the track for practice this morning, so this is the first time the car has been on the track today.
Which is kind of surprising that they didn't go out and maybe just do a shakedown, but he said, no, you know what, I know enough what I have. I don't want to get out there. I want to peak here. But for me, watching John out here doing this, let's kind of go back a year to Bump Day, and we know the challenges that John went through driving for us that just experienced way too close to home, but he needs to have a good solid run right now.
And of course the corner you want to watch is turn number 1, because we had that graphic example of his teammate having problems right there twice, and look how much road he left at the exit. He was leaving nothing to chance there, being sure the car was solid in turn 1.
And right now, this is probably the most optimum the track really is going to be all day. You know, it's just 12 o'clock. The sun's been out all morning. The most sun we've seen.
Don't we know about you?
Vitor Meira, Brasilia, Brazil, A.J. Foyt Racing. A common misperception of me is that I'm not aggressive at the track, which when the helmet's in, I get pretty aggressive, but when it's out, there's no need for it.
Right about there during race day last year, he and Rafael Matos made contact, sending Vitor into the first turn wall and putting him on the sidelines for the remainder of the year last year. But he's back and doing well. 224.438 was lap number 2.
Well, you got to think for everybody else that's waiting in line behind Vitor, they're seeing the times that are being posted, the speeds that are being posted, and they're just anxious to get out there, get their run in, because again, as the heat comes on through the day and that track temperature comes up, it is a lot tougher to maintain these speeds.
224.299. Again, a little bit slower on each lap, but a good run for Vitor.
Certainly a solid speed to get you into the field, and as Robbie said, that's what you want to do here as the early people in the draw. Get out there, put one down. It's worth noting that there is still today 3 fresh attempts. It has nothing to do with what you did yesterday. You get 3 brand new attempts today if needed, and obviously you hope that you don't need any more than 1 today because you have to withdraw your time, unlike yesterday's pole shootout.
A.J. Foyt, the team owner, looks at Vitor receiving the checkered flag, and the 4th lap is 224.151, so a good, solid, consistent run, 224.388. Sarah Fisher is in the field at 224.4. She's with Robbie.
And she just breathed a massive sigh of relief. What a relief, huh?
Well, I'll tell you what, that is the fastest I've gone all month, right? The guys have just worked extremely hard to catch up, and you know, we worked hard late last night to put that together, and this is the fastest we've been. So if that doesn't stick, I'm gonna have to see Jesus 3 times instead of 2.
Now, your teammate, Jay Howard, you trying to develop things from him. Having that 2-car team has to be beneficial.
Oh, it was, certainly, you know, especially when we were a little lost in the middle of the week, you know, having Jay's platform there and knowing what was going on. You know, this is my old car, my old faithful, the 03 that we brought here in 08. So Jay's in a brand new car. I don't know if that's the difference or not. We're just going to work real hard and figure it out, so we're on the ball at Texas.
Sarah Fisher hoping to be solidly into the field. Lindy Thaxton, who is with John Andretti.
And John Andretti, you said yesterday that you were struggling a bit and that Michael Andretti made some big decisions and some big changes. Talk about that.
Well, I just got together with a couple people, and honestly, I mean, I've got a great sponsor with Window World. They were all here yesterday, and my wife Nancy and my son Jarrett. So, you know, a high-pressure day, but we were just struck at 222s, and started talking about things, and Michael said, okay, let's do it, and made those changes and found speed. So I'm really happy. That's why you have a big team like this. That's why and I want to thank Andretti Autosport and all the teammates. They've just been really wonderful to me.
Alex Lloyd just took the green flag there. Can you talk about why you didn't go out and do a shakedown this morning?
Well, we were looking at it, and you start getting limited on tires. And yesterday we made all those changes and came back out, and we were the quickest we'd been all month. So the guys just do a great job on the race car. It's always exactly what's on the setup sheet. It's always exactly what we know what it is. So I can go down in turn 1 and never have to think about it.
And what's your plan now?
To rest.
Seen the whole week right now, so the track is probably going to see the hottest temperatures that we've seen up to this point. So now is really when it's probably most comfortable out there.
Andretti's best lap this month has been 224.3. His first lap of qualifying about to be completed, 224.662. Good run for him. Now we will fill the field today, positions 25 through 33, and then the bumping will begin. And remember, the car that is bumped is the slowest in the field, regardless of what day he qualified, except he or she qualified, except the top 9 that was in the pole shootout yesterday. They are locked into the field. John Andretti, good lap, 224.6.
Great lap for John. You know, just I want to revisit him not going out this morning. Let's take a quick look and see what he posts here. Second time by.
It's a 224.534, just a tick on the watch slower.
But still maintaining it. But just, you know, maybe one reason for not going out this morning is he knew what he had in his car. I don't want to get out there and have anything not work for me this morning, or maybe something that would take his confidence away even more so this morning. Say, no, when I get in that car next, I'm going to go out and gas it up.
Mario's twin brother, Aldo Andretti, John's father, looks on. Talk about a supporter of his son's racing all through the years. Aldo, who himself was a driver, drove sprint cars for many, many years, and was a good driver at one time. Here's the 3rd lap completed for John Andretti, and it's a 224.508, so again, just a little bit slower, but not too much.
And this isn't just great for John Andretti in this run. Remember that Andretti Autosport team, what they've already gone through this morning. What a shot in the arm for them to say, hey, things are on track here.
Maybe this is phase is one of that confidence rebuilding.
Right. It is.
This morning it got shattered, as you said again. If you could just get him in solidly, again, these numbers, Robbie and I both agree, should solidly put you in the starting field.
No question.
He was bumped from the starting field 6 times over the final 3 days of qualifying last year, made the field with 8 minutes to go, and today on Bump Day 2010, he becomes the first qualifier. 224.367 fourth lap, 224.518 is the average for John Andretti. Robbie?
I found his teammate Danica Patrick down here in the pits. I said today's a new day, and it looks like things are working out for John.
Yeah, John looks good out there. That's a good speed. It's a warm day today. You know, I think that a lot of us are thinking about is, you know, Tony, and you know, I feel really bad. He can wheel it like, you know, anybody can, and so it's hard to see, but I think it just shows that, you know, we have some things to work on. You know, I think I was a bit emotional yesterday with my with what I said, but you know, we know that there's some issues, but you know, I feel bad because my mechanics and my guys have built a fast car, but it's just, we just need to find the grip to be able to use it. So
to let everybody understand at home, they're not in a car going 225 miles an hour around this place and having your life on the line. It's hard to talk to a camera right after you come off the track.
Sure, I mean, it's part of the job, so I'm not going to say that it's totally unfair, but you know, it is. I mean, you're going to catch some emotions sometimes because, you know, I mean, I was still shaking when I did the interview afterwards because, I mean, I was just very, 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 very ragged edge out there, and you know, catching drivers or any athlete in that moment when they're very emotional is a little interesting.
Well, good luck out there today. I know you're going to want to try and practice out there. Another lady trying to make the field, be the 4th woman in the field. Sarah Fisher takes the green flag.
Owner-driver Sarah Fisher, and let's explain briefly what is going on. Yesterday on the public address here at the Speedway, Danica says the fact that she could not get up to speed is, quote, not my fault, and she received a lot of boos because of that. She told us that it was the worst car she's ever had. It's all over the internet, but hey, let's let it rest. Danica Patrick is in the field right now and undoubtedly will be on race day. But Sarah Fisher tries to get her car into the starting field. This will be her 9th start at Indianapolis. She finished in 17th position last year. That was her best.
But what that story highlights, Bob, and it's certainly a highlight for Sarah Fisher, is trying to get a car into the field that's not right. When you drive a car here that's solid, let's say it's not that tough, but when the car is not right and you're out there on a white knuckle ride, that can just shake you up.
And the guys that we're going to watch today fighting to make this field, they're holding on probably twice as much as we saw the guys that it was easy to lay down some mid-225s. These folks today are just really white-knuckling and not driving what is that perfect race car.
Good lap on lap 1, 224.735.
This should be only a couple ticks slower, but still right in the window.
Sarah holds the 1-lap and 4-lap qualifying record for women here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The 1-lap record is 229.675, and the 4-lap average 229.439.
And how about this, guys? That lap 1 for Sarah Fisher, that was her fastest lap all month.
Same way with Andretti.
Yeah. But, you know, for Sarah, as driver, team owner, that whole team, they're all built up. I mean, everything for them is all about the Indy 500. And they left the racetrack yesterday with 2 of their cars not in the race. You want to talk about pressure coming back today. Oh, gosh, as you drive into this beautiful arena, you know, anything can happen.
Now, her teammate, Jay Howard, in practice this morning, had the fastest speed of 225.9, almost 226. He'll be qualifying a little bit later. Her 3rd lap is 224.344. She's lost a little bit of speed each lap. Sarah Fisher is in turn 3, headed for the checkered flag.
We talked a lot yesterday about the speed of the car when you turn into turn number 1. We had big numbers yesterday, over 230 for Sarah Fisher, 228. That is still standing on it on your turn in for turn 1.
Here's the 4th lap as the checkered flag comes out for Sarah, 224.152. The 4-lap average is 224.434, and at the moment she is in the middle of row number 9. It is Bump Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're glad you could join us for the whole afternoon here on Versus.
Qualifying for the 2010 Indianapolis 500 on Versus is brought to you by Apex Brazil. To learn more about our Brazilian goods and services, log on to experienceourenergy.com. And by iZod, the official apparel sponsor of the iZod IndyCar Series, available at Macy's. And by Peak Performance Products. When you peak, you win.
Vitor Meira, driving for AJ Foyt Racing, has completed lap number 1 on his qualifying attempt here on Bump Day. The first lap is 2:24.663. We're seeing some good speeds here this afternoon. Vitor Meira will be racing in his 8th Indianapolis 500. So, Vitor, what